Oh, I'm sorry. I think you must be in the wrong room. I had to convince them that no, I was in the right room.
There is something about Harvard. The Ivy League school has an undeniable mystique, giving its name outsized influence and importance. The stamp of approval of merely getting accepted to Harvard, let alone graduating from the institution, opens untold doors. See, it wasn't until Jean Brownhill, the founder of home renovation company Sweeten, attended the Ivy League school that she found entrepreneurial success, and it wasn't for lack of trying. So what's Harvard's secret? There are 3 numbers to look out for in Jean's story. $150,000, the amount she personally invested to launch Sweeten, $1.3 million, the amount of her first outside investment, and $1.8 billion, the dollar amount of projects the company currently has in its pipeline. Ready?
I'm ready.
Perfect. Here's how Jean Brownhill turned her Harvard education into Sweeten, a home renovation matchmaking company. For CNBC Make It, I'm Nate Skid. This is Founder Effect. Jean grew up in New London, Connecticut, where her mom and dad bounced between blue-collar jobs, but somehow managed to cobble together enough money to pay for a private education.
My mom is an atheist, but she really believes in education, and so she sent me to private Catholic school. It was definitely a very, very rich education I got growing up.
Jean was entrepreneurial from the jump. As a kid, she held yard sales to peddle old toys. As a teenager, she put out ads in the local paper for her babysitting services in an effort to widen her customer base. And she used all of that money to decorate her bedroom.
Both entrepreneur impulse and creative impulse were there from a very early age.
After graduating high school, a mentor suggested she pursue a career in architecture.
My mom was flipping through the College for Dummies book, found Cooper Union. They had architecture. It was free. She was determined I was going to go there. Now, what she didn't mention to me is that Cooper Union, because it's tuition free, because every single student, it is merit-based scholarship, and every single student who gets in gets this benefit, it's harder to get into than West Point.
But it was how she got into the exclusive university that says the most about the way her mind works. One of the questions on the entrance exam asked her to draw a road that can't be driven on.
And being like a teenage kid who just recently got her license, I did a number of different sketches and ultimately came to the conclusion that this question was a false question, and that anything that I put on paper, I could drive on. And so I took that piece of paper, I drove over it several times, and I sent it back to them.
Jean was just one of 32 students admitted in her class. While attending class at Cooper Union, Jean waited tables to make ends meet. She managed to impress one of her professors so much, she hired her without ever having to formally interview for a position. That does not happen often.
Yeah, and it was my first office job. She is still a mentor to this day, and it was incredible.
Jean squeezed as much knowledge as she could out of the boutique firm, but left to work as an architect for the luxury retail brand Coach. She was ready for a bigger challenge and the lessons that came with it. Why Coach? I mean, that's a really popular brand.
The opportunity for me was learning about the business. How do you run a big organization? I had very, very small P&L responsibilities at the time. I had a very small team, but I got to learn these things, and that was the opportunity for me.
Jean excelled as a traditional architect at Coach, but she had an idea to increase efficiency by creating an internal platform to monitor the status of the company's various projects.
And so I got certified in information architecture and built web platforms there that help make the architecture group and construction group more efficient. In fact, I won the chairman's award, and I haven't checked in lately, but last I checked, they were still using those platforms.
But Jean was uninterested in climbing the corporate ladder at Coach, or any other company for that matter. And so what did you do next?
So I left Coach and started a bit of consulting before I started the company. I read everything that I possibly could about starting a company. I went to every single meetup. I talked to every single person that I could and took incremental first steps to starting the company.
At the same time, She was witnessing what the digital revolution did to the business models of the music and journalism industries, and she was convinced a similar fate was coming for architecture. So she gave a series of lectures to anyone who would listen.
A woman overheard that presentation and ran me down and said, "Hey, I am a Loeb Fellow at Harvard. I think you're great. I want to nominate you." And that was it.
What's one educational concept that you took with, do you remember any?
So I was very fortunate to take a class by a professor named Ron Heifetz, and he teaches a class about leadership and adaptive leadership and how to think about navigating through challenging leadership scenarios that don't have a technical solution, that require an adaptive solution, that require people to think about what is possible in a different way. And so that class was incredibly thought-provoking, educational, and it really cemented my commitment to values-based leadership.
But Jean says the idea for a tech-based company that matches general contractors with home renovation projects came while she was redoing her Brooklyn apartment.
So I walk into my living room and I see a gaping hole in the ceiling. And having been to many different construction sites, like I had an idea of, what the hole in the ceiling should look like. And this hole looked wrong. We'll just say wrong, janky, wrong. And I asked my contractor at the time, "Hey, you have moved interior stairs before, correct?" And he said no. And so in that moment, I realized three things. One, this was going to be a terrible renovation. Two, that other homeowners had to be having the same challenge in finding the right general contractor for their project. And three, this was a terrible way for this general contractor to be building his business. He took a project that he knew that he wasn't really qualified to do in hopes that he could expand his business, make a profit, and get a reference, none of which he got.
She saw that general contractors needed as much structure and guidance through the process as the homeowners did.
There are small business owners that are not great at marketing or sales, documentation, communication. They're great at being in the field. They're great at their craft of construction. And so we handle the rest for them.
While the idea for Sweeten might not have come from Harvard, she credits her time there for clarifying her vision. So much so that she began working nights and weekends on the basic website and building spreadsheets.
And I thought, okay, I have one more idea. I'm going to do it. What's the worst that can happen? I'll go to Harvard. I'll spend a year there. I'll do something else. And so, of course, that was Sweeten, and it worked. And it worked immediately.
Sweeten matches general contractors with home renovation projects and charges the contractors a fee on projects awarded to them. To grow her business, she began attending general contracting conferences, investor meetings, and building a network, even though she was often the only woman of color in attendance.
The very first thing someone said to me when I came and sat down, they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I think you must be in the wrong room." I had to convince them that no, I was in the right room.
But as she continued to do her due diligence, Jean realized just how big of an opportunity was presenting itself.
One of the very first things when you start talking to venture capitalists and other entrepreneurs, they will ask you what the total addressable market, or TAM, is. And so looking at a $1.2 trillion market was certainly very interesting.
In 2011, she emptied her 401k and sold her investments to cobble together $150,000 to officially launch Sweeten. And most of that money went into tech.
And this was before there were third-party softwares that allow you to test marketplace ideas. So now you can easily test your value prop if you are interested in creating a marketplace. But at the time, I needed to build all of that technology. And so that was expensive.
So how fast does the business grow from the launch before you leave Cambridge to when you need to get VC? Like, what does that rise look like? How long did it take? Give me an idea of the craziness.
We had this moment where we had renovated a bathroom for someone that we didn't know was an editor at a magazine. The renovation went really well. They were super happy. They nominated us for the best of issue that year. It comes out, we're the best contractor locator of 2012 New York Magazine. And it really was like you see in the movies, like the servers broke, everything broke, people were signing up too fast, we didn't have enough general contractors, like it was complete pandemonium.
When did you decide that you needed VC? What was that like? What was the pitch? How much did you get that first round? And then did it get easier after that?
At the time, I remember reading something that said any entrepreneur, so raising capital is just hard. Being an entrepreneur is hard for everyone, full stop. And that entrepreneurs would do better to focus on the algebra and not on the statistics. Meaning, the statistics are most entrepreneurs, most companies fail, no matter who they're led by. But the algebra is, what are your unit economics? How are you going to make this business profitable? What are your costs? What are your expenses? Those things are knowable, and you can continue to work your plan to get the algebra of your business to make it so that you are not one of the statistics. Or you are one of the statistics in a positive way, meaning that you are, in my case, one of, at the time, a small handful of African American women who have raised venture capital. I raised $1.3 million, led by Great Oaks Venture Capital, and I did my A in 2015, led by Navitas Capital. I did a follow-on round, which Navitas Capital and New Voices also participated in.
Sweeten has raised about $20 million to date. In 2011, the average home renovation order on Sweeten was about $1,500. Now, Jean says it's over $85,000, and the company has over $1.8 billion worth of projects in the pipeline. But none of this success was a given. It's hard to not talk about the fact that you have succeeded into extremely male and extremely white industries. That's not luck. You didn't luck your way into that. And so I'm wondering, is there a commonality between those two different worlds and how you've managed to succeed in both of them?
The best life skill as a person and certainly as an entrepreneur is problem solving. And when I think about the challenges of being a woman in construction or being a woman in venture or being a person of color in either one of them, I see it as a set of problems to solve. That's it. It's pretty straightforward to me.